Damn, Oscar De La Hoya gets at Eddie Hearn, says, hey, let him worry about the career of Canelo. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Oscar De La Hoya, on his verified page, he sent a message to Eddie Hearn, and I want to talk about it. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. You know the boy working. I'm out here in Houston, Texas. Oscar De La Hoya, on his verified Twitter account, he says, at Eddie Hearns, let me worry about Canelo Alvarez and his next opponent, which doesn't involve you. You worry about securing the rematch for Joshua with Andy Ruiz Jr. for DAZN, which I hear you are having problems with. Damn. So I'm assuming this is based on Eddie Hearn putting his 2 cents in about Canelo's next move. In recent interviews, Eddie Hearn suggested that he thinks Canelo Alvarez will go after Kovalev as opposed to Triple G3. And, you know, basically it's Oscar De La Hoya checking him and saying, hey, it's none of your concern. What we do has nothing to do with you. And there was a rumor that a matchroom fighter that Eddie Hearn represents, Caleb Smith, was piquing the interest of Canelo, but according to this tweet, maybe that's not the case, because Oscar De La Hoya says, let me worry about Canelo and his next opponent, which doesn't involve you. So if it doesn't involve you, then it sounds like it's maybe a Triple G, Kovalev, or somebody outside of matchroom, because why else would he say that? Now, Canelo's last 2 opponents since he signed his deal with DAZN has been with Eddie Hearn fighters, Rocky Fielding and Danny Jacobs. So, you know, they worked together for Canelo's last 2 fights. So, I don't know what it's about, but that's what it sounds like it's about. And, you know, the interesting thing is he says, just you worry about securing the rematch for Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz for DAZN, which I hear you are having problems with. Now, boxing is a small circle. It's a small niche sport. And, you know, they're in some of the same circles being affiliated with the streaming app DAZN. So maybe there is some portion of it that's, I guess, complex, bringing the fight back to DAZN, you know, because Al Heyman is not affiliated with DAZN, and an Al Heyman fighter upset Anthony Joshua. So that's very interesting that Oscar De La Hoya chose to go public, and he said that, like, you know, worry about your own business and worry about AJ versus Ruiz, because I heard you having problems, you know, the way I interpret it, getting the fight for DAZN, you know, because what else would he be referring to? There's no problem making the fight since there was an immediate rematch clause attached to this particular fight. So Andy Ruiz know he has to fight Joshua under some circumstances, be it the UK, USA. So I think that's what they're negotiating. Me, I don't want to speculate too much on where the fight will land and this, that, and the third, but it's looking like late November or December, and I will keep you guys updated on the Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua rematch. Obviously, that's a good fight for boxing based on how the first fight played out. It'll be an opportunity for Joshua to get his stuff together and come back correct, or, you know, it'll be a massive loss if he takes a second L. As far as Canelo, he's been in news recently. The WBC made him the franchise champion. I don't agree with that. I think the franchise champion, you know, absolved Canelo from his responsibilities as just the regular WBC champion. And one of those responsibilities was to face Jermall Charlo. You know, Jermall Charlo was kicking down the door for a fight with either Canelo or Triple G, whoever had that WBC belt. And right when he's seemingly close, he's about to fight tonight against Brandon Adams, season 5 contender winner. And right when he gets that close, the WBC announces that Canelo is no longer just a regular champion. He's this, you know, mythical super franchise champion, super duper champion that's basically untouchable. Doesn't carry the same responsibilities. All the while, Jermall Charlo has the responsibilities of his old championship spot. Meaning Jamal Charlo's going to have to face mandatories, whoever's ranked, when it gets ordered and stuff like that. He can't just hide out and not have to face mandatories. But Canelo, with this franchise title, it pretty much, they put him in a pedestal. They put him on a pedestal to the point where, he doesn't have the same responsibilities as we're used to seeing. And that's a shame, because I think Jamal Charlo versus Canelo is a good fight. And there's a lot of fans who, they know this is not a good look for a Canelo. So as a result, they're saying these radical things like, who is Charlo beat and all that. It doesn't matter what you think. He was ranked. So people, when let's say Gennady Golovkin has to fight against Dominic Wade or whatever the situation is, these same fans oftentimes have no problem with a champion, fighting said person because of the person is the mandatory. When you look at Vasyl Lomachenko, he fought Anthony Corolla. That wasn't a big fight for boxing. Yet again, these same people, these old media and man fans and stuff, they have no quarrels about Lomachenko fighting Anthony Corolla. But if it's a black fighter like Dominique Breazeale and Deontay Wilder, and Wilder has to fight as mandatory, then it's all types of problems. When Errol Spence is fighting Carlos Ocampo in a hometown fight after beating Lamont Peterson, becoming the champion, beating Kell Brook, all of a sudden it's a problem that Errol Spence is fighting as mandatory. So we're not going to play that game. I just really hope they don't try to carefully guide Canelo's career to the point. I think Canelo's a terrific fighter, but I don't want to see him in fights that they're carefully handcrafted and this, that, and the third. I don't think that. I think they're kind of undermining Canelo's ability, but I think Canelo is the last of the Mohicans. He's one of the last big stars that are with Golden Boy that already have a platform, and you see how much of a impact Joshua losing has to Matchroom. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to put Canelo in the best positions to win. Weight clauses, rehydration clauses, weight stipulations, just kind of abusing the A-side stuff and this new franchise champion, those types of things. So they're talking about Canelo possibly facing Kovalev, and I think that's why Oscar barked at Eddie Hearn. I really don't like that fight. It's okay. It's a dangerous fight because of the weight class jumps, but why would you be attacking and going after when you haven't cleaned up house at 160 or 168? Why would you bypass so much to opt to fight a champion at 175 and not a champion that has been looking, brilliant in all of his performance, but a champion with 3 losses in recent memory, 2 to Andre Ward, 1 by stoppage, and then another stoppage where he's knocked down 3 times against Eleider Alvarez, and where he has looked very weak and vulnerable to the body, versus other light heavyweights like Alexander Vodstick, guys like Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, stuff like that. They have looked a bit fresher, and they're all champions too. So why would you target the one champion at light heavyweight that showed the most vulnerabilities because he'd been fighting? It's not like you're talking about like before pre-Andre Ward, when Kovalev was knocking out Jean Pascal and beating Bernard Hopkins up, and almost stopped Bernard Hopkins. We're talking about Kovalev several years later, several trainers later, with John David Jackson. Then he was with that Russian trainer, or he's from Uzbekistan or somewhere, and now he's with Buddy McGirt. So we've seen a lot of evolution of Kovalev. He's still a good fighter. It still presents a danger because of his power and his ability to box, but that shouldn't be, in my opinion, the first order of business on the menu. That's like Errol Spence with all the great fights at welterweight. Who wants to see him go up, let's say to 160 to fight, let's say Danny Jacobs, a guy who's coming off of a loss? Like, it's still a challenge. It's still a good fight, but why would we want to see that? You know, why would we want to see him fight Danny Jacobs or let's say Sergey Derevyanchenko or something? Like, it just really doesn't make sense when you have all these fresh, ready contenders and people who are calling out Canelo. I get it. He's an A-side and he's a star. A lot of people are going to call him out, but it just doesn't seem fair for the people really in line that are more deserving of Canelo. You know, 168, you have Caleb Plant, David Benavidez. You just had Zordo Gilberto Ramirez, who just moved up to 175. Why not him? You know, why not him when he was at 168? See, it's carefully trying to select who you think, you know, has the vulnerabilities and who at that division he could beat, similar to Rocky Fielding. You know, Rocky Fielding, by no means did anyone feel Rocky Fielding was the man to beat. In fact, he had been knocked out in the first round by Caleb Smith. Canelo did not fight Caleb Smith. He fought the guy that Caleb Smith knocked out, who had a paper title. You know, these are the facts. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think of Oscar De La Hoya kind of checking Eddie Hearn. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.